today's discussion is not about how to measure them. Okay, so this is not our today's discussion. Today's discussion is what are they, how they are interrelated, how can progress further into our own levels wherever we are. Measuring is not the topic today. It's just interrelation, understanding, and what does that mean, and what are their characteristics, and how we can grow about it. Also, I will explain about the spiritual aspect of my own direct experience through meditation, what are my view on this from that point of view. And then we can open for any question answer if there is any. So that is the topic of discussion today. So first, let us start with our physical body or physical intelligence. Physical intelligence is that we have our own body, and each and body part has their own intelligence. Like our digestive system, how food is digested, that is defined, designed, and implemented by intelligence, by some intelligence. It runs on its own. It does not depend our instruction, our wish, like our blood circulation, what will be our pump capacity, how much pressure it will pump, what will be the heartbeat rate. Same as breathing, how much oxygen will take in during breathing and breathe out the carbon dioxide. What is the lungs, the functions, how they will function, how our nervous system will function, how our brain will function, how we can see things. These are all designed by some higher intelligence. This intelligence has already put in to our system. And this is called physical intelligence. We only control how certain limbs of our body will interact with the outside environment. How I move our hand or head or legs. This is the only thing we decide. Rest of the functions, body function, physical functions are automated. And thank God these are automated. If it's left to us to run it, that means all the time you are meditative mode, give constant attention. If we lose track of heartbeat could have been stopped if it is left to us. Yeah. Breathing. If you are consciously not breathing, if you are not in breath awareness, breath could have been stopped. So thank God, this intelligence has already designed in automated mode, not dependent on us. But these are called the physical intelligence and the PQ, the physical quotient. So a person of a higher PQ means a person has a good health and all bodily functions are harmonized. There is no imbalance into the system. And this, to run that body, so we need to have some good food, energetic food, high energy food, and we should not abuse our body with a toxic material. Then body has to deal with it and disease will form. That is in our hand, our eating habit, what we eat and what we don't eat, or eat too much or too less. These are all in our hand, and that is why actually we suffer. Our diseases are mostly come from what left with our choice. We don't suffer from less air available, but we do suffer for overeating. See, what is left on us, our choice, our free will, our suffering comes from there. I never heard anybody that who has a shortage of air supply. At temporary cases, yes, but in general, no. It's abundantly available. So this is a measure of our physical quotient. And spiritual aspect, what I was telling, that I will share my own direct experience. I see it through this experience. This physical body is a divine gift. And it changes on its own, it rejuvenates on its own. Even we have about more than 3 trillion cells in our body. Trillion. Each and every cell has its own intelligence. It grows, it lives its life, and then it lives your body as well. I'm just, you may be aware that every 7 years, our each and every body cell is replaced. Each one of them. Within 2 years, almost 90, and some few, like bone and other things, take 7 years. But within 7 years, all the cells are replaced. You are renewed. In other words, whatever body you have 7 years back and today is completely different, made of completely different cells. We claim our body to be ours, but this is rejuvenated. So technically, it is correct to say whatever body, say Rajdeep had 7 years back and Rajdeep having today, this Rajdeep is completely different. Technically, medically, that is correct. Only the memory continuity is maintained. Only this, my idea that it is me, that is continuing, not the cells. Okay, so that is our technical, but the spiritual aspect, what I was saying that I'll share. See, physical body is a divine gift, as I'm saying, that otherwise we could not have no idea how to maintain the 3 trillion cells, 3 or even more, in the range of trillions. All our so-called database could have been overflowed with, if I have to maintain the data of each and every cell and see what is happening to them and all. So these are all, that's why it is good that it is automated. And this is a gift from the Creator. And spiritually, our physical body, we explained earlier also, it is temple of our soul. It is the means to walk our spiritual path. It is the foundation stone of all our spirituality. We cannot get enlightened unless until we have a physical body. It is not possible to get enlightened at the soul level. You need a physical body to, whatever karma has been actually settling all your karma, walk the spiritual path, and the experience of enlightenment happens on your physical body. So as it is a temple of our soul, so we need to maintain it, we have to clean it regularly. We have to, basically, this is a place of our worship. We cannot make it dirty. We cannot make it on unstable grounds. So that is why we'll maintain it with respect. It is a divine gift. Human body is a divine gift. And everything given is sacred. There is nothing called this is a good body part and a bad body part. There's nothing like that. Everything has its own function. So this aspect, when we realize that, we understand that, we maintain with the due respect, we don't abuse them, maintain the balance. We treat it with nicely with a proper pranic food, good food. Good food doesn't mean tasty food. Good food means which nourishes the body. Nutritions are high. And that's why it is Sanskrit, it is called Annamaya Kosha. It needs food, anna, to maintain. So this is how, when we maintain it, we say that we are at a high PQ level. Physical quotient level is fully active, fully aligned, fully harmonized. That is of high PQ. High PQ does not mean you have to have a gym going body with a biceps and six pack. It's not about PQ. PQ is a well harmonized, energetic body so that you can do all the functions. You can be active. We can do the work. And whatever your life's purpose is, you can perform. That's the PQ is all about. So this is about the physical quotient. Then we come to our mental abilities. Mental abilities are measured with IQ, intelligent quotients. We have our intelligence where the logic works. And this logic, okay, one thing just reminded me, and one point came to me, before I go to the mental and IQ, in the physical, the machines also have a physical body. And we human beings, we also have a physical body, right? Okay. So when we talk about the PQ, so what is the difference between a car, and it has got all parts, and the body also has all parts. What is the difference then? Is it the same? Both are physical? They are physical, but the gift part is different. Divine gift part is different. Why? These machines, whether it is a car or a locomotive or aeroplane or a rocket or whatever that human creations, or a computer, whatever, or your mobile phone, whatever you have, it has been manufactured by the human. That, or the mechanical, let us try mechanical, let us not go to the electronic part of it, because there is a memory involved, little bit of IQ involved there. Suppose it is a car. So this car, if all the parts are working properly, they are called the mechanism. Mechanism means every part has got its own job. So if all the parts are working, the full will work. Human body is not like that. Okay. Human body is, every part is connected to each other and is connected to something higher. And that's why the human body is not a mechanism. It is called organism. It's all connected. It is connected with something divine. Some of our body parts is influenced by the external vibration, by the planetary position and things like that. Whatever you see in the cosmos, it is available in the body. They are connected. Mechanism is not that. Organism, it is that. It is connected to the higher. The capacity of human body is much, much higher than assembling a car. And reverse is also true. Even if all your body functions are working, a man still may not work. If all the parts of a car is functioning, the car will run. But a human body, all functions are proper, but still the man will not work. Okay, there is something more to it. Here, there is a will and things like that is involved here. Okay, anyway, but just I wanted to mention, this is the fundamental difference between a mechanical system and our mechanical system, human mechanical system or physical system. There is a fundamental difference, how they operate. Same body functions, a lot of robots have been made, humanoid, like a copy of human. But they miss this organism part of it. They are mechanism works, not organism. Okay, so I missed that point earlier. I just reiterated that one. All right, let me go to the mental part. Mental, as I was explaining, it is measured by IQ, intelligent quotient. So it depends. So what are the parameters of that? It is the parameters of our knowledge, what we gather from the external sources, our education, we're reading. Then some skill we developed, we learn. We learned swimming, we learned driving, or we learned a new language, or we learned a different type of, we learned sports. These are all acquired. We learn these skills. These are governed by our intellectual capacity, our mental capacity to learn. And it is also, we have a memory, so we can remember what we have learned and we can deploy that. So we also need this IQ to work and contribute to the society and the work and earn our living and so on and so forth. We need IQ. We have appeared in a lot of exams, so we needed IQ to pass through those exams so that we can remember what we learned and we can reproduce it when the need comes. That is about, and it is governed by the logical aspects of life. So it is as a cause and effect. So we understand those logics, or certain things have a certain implications. We learn that. Even the complex matrices of this interrelation also we learn. So it is like the structure with a lot of blocks. We understand each other. So one block is removed, then structure should not fall down, and this kind of things. This is the complex geometric ideas that we develop. These are the kind of aspect in life we understand, we study, and then that enhances our IQ, or mental capacity. In the mental capacity, also there is, okay, now I will come back to the spiritual part of it a little later. The emotional part, the EQ. So anything happening outside it has got some effect on our own emotions. Emotion means how do we feel. Mental is how we think. And this is how we feel about it. Somebody said some bad words to me. Okay. In this particular aspect, some aspect of me, I will react. That is, my emotion has been triggered. And this emotion, also it can be this way, like some emotion triggered by external event. Also, my emotions are playing with what are the kind of nature of thoughts I have in my mind. That also, my emotions is based on that. Sometimes we feel happy because of the thoughts are good thoughts. Sometimes we feel depressed because the thoughts are negative. So positive, negative thoughts control our emotion. And these emotions, what are the type of thought, also gives rise to the creativity. Like what something we don't have it, but we can create it. We need that emotional mind or emotional aspect of us to create that. What we are passionate about, we can create that. If I'm good at painting, or I like painting, so I will express my emotion in the painting. If I am a singer, then I will express my emotion as a song. Or if I'm a poet, I will write a poetry to express my emotion. These are not necessarily logical, but these are the expression creative expressions of my emotions. So in that sense, emotions, they generate creativity, and that creativity can be expressed in different ways. I'm not saying the creativity can only be on the painting and singing or acting. It can be on any method. You have a creative way to find a solution to a problem. You have a creativity gives one edge above the logical. Somewhere the logic stops, and then you need to have your creative solutions to it, or something you are doing but nobody has done before. At least they don't have same set of parameters. Now you can use this, your emotions, the creative abilities, to get into that one, that territory. So now let me come to that. That is defined by EQ, your emotional quotient. It depends upon how much you can bring the emotions under your control, like appropriateness. This part, emotional quotient, happens when you interact with the others. You interact with your family, you interact with your, with the relatives, or interact with the society, interact with professionally, interact in general with others. All this interaction, your EQ is needed. That is the emotional intelligence. We need to know which we should talk and which we should not talk. That comes from EQ. It is not logical always. I went to visit a patient, and the doctor told that this patient there's no chance of survival. He has only, maybe 1 or 2 weeks left. When I visit to that patient, maybe my relative, I will not say to him he will die after 2 weeks, which is the truth, which is logical. I will give hope. I will give peace to that person. This comes from your emotional intelligence. It is not about telling the truth. It is how you express yourself. That is your emotional intelligence. How you can how we can learn through experiences and go into the maturity stage, so that you know the appropriateness of it. There are a lot of factors involved. So that's why how you behave also comes under this. Behave in a society. So in other words, your IQ is your personal thing. You can develop your IQ without interacting with anyone. You keep studying book and all. Means a scientist can without interacting with anyone, can be a big scientist, write many papers, etc. Or study on his own, get very high IQ, it is possible. But high IQ need to implement it to the society, and how the implementation is going on, that's why EQ will decide whether it is acceptable or not. It can be good for the society or not. Science can create a big killing machine or something to help people. EQ will decide where you put your time and effort in. Whether you put a time in killing machine or put a time in finding out a better remedy for some medical treatment, some better equipment to diagnose something. Choice is yours, and your EQ decides that. All right, so these are your emotional part of it. And as I said, that is emotional part is also our creative part. In our human body, both this part controlled by our brain. the IQ and EQ part controlled by our brain. Our brain has a two major part. One is left brain, one is right brain. If you see the construction of the brain, it has two parts. Left brain controls our logical mind, logical part of it. So whatever we learn in the education, those kinds of things it empowers our left brain, and it is activity of the left brain. Whether the creative part, we learn anything which is creative in nature, or trying to control our emotion or express our emotion in the right way, in the right form. Okay. Suppose if I'm angry, rather than shouting at somebody, I draw a painting with a lot of red color. Same anger created that, but the expression is different. The painting came from the high EQ person, whether the shouting came from low EQ person. Emotion is same. Okay. So this aspect is controlled by our right brain, this emotional part, the creative part. All who are high in creativity, it can be just like a painter or actor. So any kind of creative arts, they are very high in EQ. The creative quotient is very high. And because their right brain is well developed. So in our brain itself, these two parts, the intelligent IQ and EQ, are coming from our own brain, left and right brain. Now, let me go into the spiritual aspect of it. At the time of birth, we decide how much IQ and how much EQ we'll be born with. Why? Because every birth we take based on to settle something, some karmic account we have done our past lives, past births. Certain experience you cannot have if you have in a very high IQ or very high EQ. So at the time of birth, we decide, nobody else. It is not a punishment. It is our soul's decision that what kind of level of intelligence we have that life so that we can have that experience. Suppose in one life we cheated someone. And this life we intentionally reduce our IQ low so that we get cheated and settle that account. I'm just giving some example. If you're too much high, too much intelligence, then we rather in that life again will cheat maybe 5 people. Bind more karma. It is not good for the karmic thing. For that life, it will be okay. This we decide. Also, maybe our lessons are somewhere else. We come here to experience 3 things. Karma works in 3 major aspects of our life. One is the financial, next is the health lessons, and another was relationship lessons. First was the monetary, the money part of it. If you are too intelligent, maybe we'll be having quite rich, we can earn big amount of money. But we are not come with that kind of emotional quotient. We fail in relationship. We must often heard the story that somebody is a topper in the classes and all. They failed in the practical life. Professionally, they cannot keep a job, or they cannot, get their marriage doesn't last because of the absence of EQ. No doubt that person is very, very intelligent. Otherwise, how he can be a top in the exams and things like that? Reverse is not true. I'm not saying that all high IQ persons are failure in their relation. I'm not saying that. Okay. I'm saying there are examples. I'm just giving you some idea that high in intelligence, that does not mean that you can interact with other people well. That needs EQ. Or somebody may not be very high in IQ, but loved by everybody. So that person is high in EQ, even though IQ is less. People like to work with that person. People like to be in the company of that person because he's nice. He's nice to be worked with, talk with, live with. Okay, so this decides by the EQ. So as I said, this part, initial, what we're born with is decided. But what we can do, we can grow in our level. More so, we have to keep balance. Means our EQ should not be used to destroy our, intelligence level or vice versa. Or both EQ and IQ should not work to destroy my health. What is PQ? That is a destructive behavior. That is a self-destructive. There are many people, they have a pattern of self-destruction, abusing their own body. Anyway, so those comes from the higher level you go, then less of that will happen. You will be in the harmony with yourself within and without, with your outside people and outside nature, and overall with the planet Earth. You'll be in a full harmony with that. You will live with that. So that is the balance we need to achieve here. And the fourth part is SQ. Oh, by the way, SQ, somebody says it is a social quotient. There is nothing called social quotient. Okay. Social quotient is a sub form of EQ. If you are in a higher in EQ, social skills are part of that, where the interaction comes with other people. There is nothing called SQ. Some people fashionably say SQ, social quotient. There is nothing called social quotient. But SQ is a spiritual quotient, and social quotient is there, but it's a part of EQ. Okay. All right. Now, in the spiritual quotient, it basically, first one start with your physical body, who you identify with, then your mental body, who you think you are, then your emotional part of it, what you feel you are, and spiritual is who you are, or who am I? That question, what is the purpose of life? What is the meaning of life? All those things. Those things are not there in these three. And there you get the connectedness with the bigger I. You are not that. They are your expressions. They are your tools, but you are not that. This realization, when happens, then you start walking the spiritual path, and then that SQ happens. And this spiritual quotient, it comes from there is something called Maslow's law of hierarchy, the pyramid. Basic needs, the survival, the food, and then it comes certain level of the earning and power and prestige and things like that. This is another level, and then goes into the higher level of the recognition, social recognition, and all these kind of things, earning medals, achievements, and things. And if you go to the top level, it is only the self-actualization. There is nobody else there to compete with. Only you can refine yourself. You can be a better human being. You find out the meaning and purpose of your life and actualize yourself. And that level is spiritual. You cannot get it from outside. who are into that territory, they are growing in spiritual quotient. Just to understand who you are truly and experience it directly, you get all the answers within, not without. Nothing is outside. You realize that outside is. Then there is a saying, no, earlier I was smart, intelligent, was trying to change the world. Now I am wise. Now I'm working on to change myself. And that is how beautifully put it. That is self-actualization. There is no competition or comparison to anybody. We are not less than anybody else, not more than anybody else, not equal either. How it is possible? Because we are unique. We are walking our unique path. It cannot be comparable to anyone else. That's why nobody is higher than you, nobody is lower than you, and nobody is equal to you, because you are walking your own unique path. And this journey is your own self-realization. Or in other words, you can say, who am I? This thrust of that higher knowledge, not anything you read outside. It should come from within. There was a study done that they studied with all the top company CEO who resigned being in the CEO. They studied on that. 80% of them, they said they left the job not because of monetary, not because of salary, not because of power, not because of name, fame, or whatever people desire. Everything was there. Still they left. They asked, why you left? If you have everything, he said, after reaching there, I felt void inside. That void cannot be met by the external things. In filling up the void, we earlier thought, our intelligence told, if you earn X amount of money, you are successful, you meet the void. We earned that, it never happened. Then that our mind told, if okay, you need some power and prestige. So you have that kind of power. You ultimately done all necessary things and become that, have that power. After having the power, you realize it cannot meet that void either. Then you name, fame, prestige, you got a best award and whatever it is, maybe internationally recognized. Still, you feel that is not there. It didn't meet that. So what is that? That time they left that. They realized this is not the one what we are looking for. And this is the thing at the Emperor Ashoka, after winning all the war and killing all his enemies, uncontested emperor, he left everything to search for that. That void is still not good enough to meet that void, what he was trying to achieve. After leaving everything, his kingdom and property and wealth and everything, he got that. Then he realized, he becomes self-realized. So this self-actualization comes from your spiritual quotient. It cannot come from these other three. And in that, it can be, if you ask me what are the qualities, of course, there is no direct way of measuring it. But it can be defined as your purpose, self-discipline, your detachment from the external things, operating from the pure love. When that faculty opened up, you express yourself with a pure love. So the indicators of some spiritual intelligences are self-awareness, who you are, the vision and value-led So you are not operated by something outside you. You're operated by your own vision and value. Then you see all the things what is coming up your life, even in the adversities, you grow from there. Your life become holistic, whole, as a whole, complete. And you operate through compassion. And you celebrate the diversity. You find the beauty in everything, all this kind of diversions, what has been created by the nature. And you have to have the capacity to ask the fundamental questions and get the answer within. If something happened wrong, why? You fundamentally go into that. In Mahatma Gandhi's terms, he said this journey is called in search of excellence. He wanted to find those answers, and he got it finally in the spiritual domain. Spontaneity, it's just a living moment by moment. It is a spiritual thing. Not worry about the future, not grudging about the past. Those are mental behaviors. Spontaneity comes, you are fully aligned with your soul consciousness. And humility comes, you approach life with attitude to gratitude to the divine. You are in a bliss and you are always connected to that divine forces which has created you. As I was telling, human being is called Prema Sarupa, manifestation of love. You get touch with that and your life changes with that love. It's nothing from outside. It is all connected. The infinite love. Everything external is, I call it, private limited. Okay, everything is limited. Your capacity to any creation is limited. Any capacity to earn is limited. Capacity to own anything is limited. Capacity of relationship is limited. Your thinking is limited. Whatever, how much you can achieve is limited. Everything is limited. Your time is limited. After a certain time, thank you very much, you have to live. But you touch upon something which is unlimited, infinite. So nothing of this limited will appeal you anymore. Because you got a taste of much, much bigger things. Nothing wrong with this, the lower stuff. In the morning, I was telling that maybe when you were a child, you love your lollipop. But when you grow up, that lollipop will not satisfy you anymore. You have to go for the bigger thing. And same here. Whatever the human limited stuff will not appeal you anymore. You are in the territory of infinite. The reason we wanted to go for any kind of happiness or pleasure, after that we realize, okay, the pleasure is temporary, but in the process, if I harm anyone, the karma is permanent. Even I have to pay lifetime to come back and settle it. When you realize that, you will not, that pleasure will not make sense to you. It becomes like a lollipop. So then you go to the vastness in the journey of that one, and you are connected, and your joy, the source, will come from inside, from the connectedness. And that is the high SQ state. If you consider your PQ, IQ, and EQ are your external parts, different layers of your entity, then SQ is the core of it. It touches everything. As I explained in the beginning, your physical body is a divine gift. Your mental capacity is divine gift. Your emotional capacity is divine gift. And also I explained how it operates in the brain. Left brain is a logical mind which governs IQ. Right brain is EQ. In the spiritual terms, the left brain is controlled by masculine energies and right brain is feminine energies. So all in that case, the divine masculine, divine feminine, the creative part of it. And if the SQ, if you just strictly wanted to, even though it is not fully correct, but SQ is not operated by either left or right brain. It is operated by midbrain that need to be activated. And through midbrain, we connect to the higher stuff. And there are techniques how to do that. We'll have a separate session on that one. And then your spiritual journey starts. All your chakras opens up and you get connectedness happens, and then it starts and we go towards that. So that is the expression of SQ. So that concludes the discussion session. If there is any question, so I will answer that now.
Guruji, I have one question.
Yes, Vani.
When we talked about emotional quotient, where we should be in the middle, or like, I mean, is it wrong to express, or is it like we should not express? I didn't understand that part of it. So.
All right. See, if something happens outside you and it triggers you and you express your emotions, that is called reaction. Okay, you react. When you become mature, you don't react, you respond. Means there should be some gap between the external stimuli and what your outcome is. If you're in that state where you develop that space, then you respond. And that space is developed in your spiritual practices by witnessing. If you can witness what is going on in your mind, then all the time you are under witnessed condition, and then you'll be able to control it. Whether there is a need to control it or not, that appropriateness will come to you. Whether you express it or not, that decision, it is a decision you need to take. So what I am saying is that better you take the decision rather than you become a slave, that automatically something happens, you express your emotion and then you regret later on. Okay, I'm not saying only bad thing, I'm talking a good thing also. Mm-hmm. You see whether it is appropriate to express your emotion in that particular time. Okay. Suppose you went to visit some funeral ceremony. Okay. Then you got some text message that X amount of things. Maybe you got some source, some money, $50,000, that's deposited in your account. To express your happiness, and that time you need appropriateness. Yeah? Your environment, ambience, you are attending a funeral ceremony. That time you got it. You got $50,000 from the unknown source or whatever. You have a reason to be happy, but you should not react. You should not stop feeling happy and dancing at that particular time. Here come EQ. So that answer your question, Bani?
Yes, Guruji. Only reason I asked is sometimes they say that if you suppress your hard feelings or fear, it will come out in a different way, in a very bad way, maybe, So I just wanted to ask.
No, it's a very good question. Expressing is not the issue. Suppressing is the issue. What you are talking about, the suppressing, the other way around. We are not saying you have to suppress your emotion. What we are saying here is express it appropriately. No need to suppress. Okay, no need to feel guilty. We are walking the path of householder spirituality. We need to enjoy life. Don't feel guilty. Suppose you would like to have some ice cream. Go and have the ice cream and enjoy it. No need to feel guilty. Oh my goodness, I should not be having it. all these things happen, so many calorie gone. If you have that, then don't take it. Or if you take it, you enjoy it. So that is the EQ level. The guilty part has to go, but the appropriateness should come from within. You can say, I can enjoy ice cream maybe once in a week, twice in a week. That is fine. It's okay. So that comes from the appropriateness. Okay, suppressing will affect, as you rightly said, it will affect like a disease or something else. So that is not a good idea because your desire has not gone. As long as the desire is there, suppressing make it more powerful. Like a pressure cooker. When the steam is generated, you suppressed it, you are not allowing steam to go out, it will create a dangerous pressure sometime inside. Unless until you have that, the release valve on the top of a pressure cooker, that saves it. Otherwise, that pressure cooker may burst. Same in the human emotional conditions. Don't create a pressure cooker inside you. Allow it to release appropriately so that your cooking is also done, pressure is also released. When the pressure is released, you can open and enjoy the food. That's it. All right?
Thank you so much, Guruji.
Yes, Shaival.
Yeah, so Raj, the question in terms of the PVEF's influence on the emotional quotient, right? So how does, and you said about the emotions, the feminine emotions like fear, anger, if I may say those are feminine, emotions comes from the right brain. And so PVEF influences both the sides of the brain equally, or because in some expressions, if there are impact on the right brain on these emotions, obviously your left brain is also affected. So what's the correlation?
By the way, the emotions come from the right brain only, no matter what type of emotion it is.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
So, because that same emotions is also needed for creativity. So, I explained earlier in the fundamental things that if there is everything is pure, you cannot create anything. So, you need that. You need imperfection to create something. Okay. I'm just going the fundamentals. Now, out of all these emotions, fear is not an emotion per se. Fear is absence of love, absence of connection. It's like a darkness. There is no signs of darkness. There is a signs of light. Absence of light is a darkness. Same as fear is absence of love. There is no something called fear management. There is nothing called dark management on theory of darkness. It is, if you bring light, darkness will go, and same here about the fear. If the love comes, automatically the fear goes. This love of your own higher self, the connection, when the connection is lost, we get fearful. We think we are not taken care of. Okay, in the morning I was giving example of a child is going, holding a hand of his father. In old days, suppose visiting a fair in the Mela. The child has lost in the Mela and become fearful, started crying. But as long as the father's hand is he's holding his father's hand, he's no fear. He's connected, he's enjoying visiting a fair or Mela or something like that. Same here. As long as you are connected, you have no fear. You know that you are protected, connected, and you are loved. The security comes from within. But the moment the illusion thinks, as said, I have no connection, then become fearful. What will happen to me tomorrow? Who will take care of me? The fear comes. Okay. Anyway, so other than fear, now come to your question, whether your emotions, like anger and all these kind of things, those can affect the right brain activity, can affect the left brain activity. Oh, yes. Okay. When you are in anger, your intelligence goes haywire. Okay.
Yeah.
Your intelligence doesn't work. If you're too angry, your common sense will not work. So that means your emotion is overpowering your intelligence.
My question, Rajdeep, was the PVF. So there on that frequency domain of PVF.
Yeah.
Right?
So you higher the PVF you are, okay, higher the level of control you have within yourself. You are the control.
So the right brain will get those positive emotions, right?
Yes. See, the creativity will be positive or negative. I can be creative how to kill a person. I can be high in EQ, but I can use it negatively. So my vibration is negative, but creativity wise, I'm high. So basically, I'm saying don't compare this EQ, IQ with the vibrations.
So there's no correlation.
There is no direct correlation. Okay. Somebody, if you lower in vibration, then your thinking, action will be negative. Okay. You become mastermind of very intelligent. In fact, all the the what is called the dark world, underworld, underworld dons, very, very intelligent. They are the topmost intelligent people, but they use it negatively. Okay, they are operating very low vibrations, but they are very intelligent. Okay. All this, Charles Shovraj and this kind of, they're very intelligent. Yeah, they can dodge the system like this. So, but the intelligence, because of their vibration low, they used it negatively. Okay. So these are different. But when you cross up a certain level, PVF, when your heart chakra opens up in the 500 scale and you go further beyond, then you will not enjoy doing anything of the lower patterns. So it is not that you cannot do. You still have a free will. You can do that. But you don't feel like doing it. From your inside, it will not come. In the morning, I was giving example, a person high SQ even will not step upon an ant. When you see some small ant, you just pass by. Ant is in front, it's below your feet. You can step upon it. Okay. So many ants are dying, how does it matter? But you will care for it. Even with full justification, small animal like ant, you will not step upon it. It's a life form. You are taking care of that. So that comes from the higher level of PVF. Okay, so that's how it plays out.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Rajdeep, I have a question.
Yes, right.
You see, you referred to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
And in that hierarchy, the pyramidal structure, as you have rightly said, that the self-actualization is right on the top.
Yep.
Now, you get a call within yourself to self-actualize. And, you put in efforts to self-actualize. But at the same time, you get inner feelings that I still need to sort of cater to the economic, demands which falls upon me due to family or due to many other reasons. So when you're on that crossroad, when you get these two demands almost equally, what do you suggest?
I suggest that whatever situations you are given in, make best out of it. No situation, because that situation, our own soul that creates. For us to have certain thing, if there is no exam, nobody can be graduate, nobody can be postgraduate, nobody can have education. No, same here. The situation has been created for us for the testing purposes of our own. We test ourselves by giving these situations. And they are not either or. They can be complementary. So in a given situation, give your best and rest you leave it to the divine. Means
Yeah,
if you suppose you are in a position where you see that you need to say earn money, whatever you can, you do that and rest you live it. That part comes from the spirituality, the acceptance that okay, I have done my best and this is it, and this is the best I can do. I leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, you have time again said that this is householders' spirituality.
Spirituality, yes.
But my personal experience is that the more I delve into this field of spirituality, I feel the need of concentrating more and more on that. Sort of balancing the two, I find it a little difficult.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking. I mean, my interest in spirituality, drags me to say that, you should do this, you should bring this into your daily rhythm, you should sort of attend these camps. But that will leave behind a lot of activities which I am doing. And I face this trade-off very often.
Yeah. Okay. This high time consuming activity that you need to plan, means there is no other way. But the daily routine, you need to find your own time to do it. Okay. Daily practice for your own. Okay. The attending something, getting more knowledge, more this thing, that is a different thing. Okay. But working on yourself, it should be part of your daily routine. So you need to fit into your daily routine to go get into that and raise your vibrations. It will actually change your other part of your life. Means you will be able to find the gaps. You will able to find the solutions which otherwise not. All the time your situation will control you. But when you raise your vibration through your spiritual practices, you will be controlling the situation by giving the solutions as appropriate. That will minimize your time to sort out things. Only for the higher understanding, accepting this and rest, you say, I cannot accept it, leave it to the divine. Who created the universe, they can create the solution for you also. Only thing, we have to allow that solution to come into our life and accept it.
Right.
Okay, if something, suppose if not keeping relationship with brother is the solution, let it be. Why I'm crying every day? Oh, my, relationship with brother has gone, rogue and things like that. No need. I accept it, and matter ends there. Okay, the acceptance will liberate me. Rather than I drag down into all this my emotions about these things on the family. I will try my best. Something is not happening, I leave it there. It's okay.
I get you. I think the key is the acceptance, which you say.
Yeah. Acceptance and whatever it, from your side, you give your best. Means what I'm meaning is, in the excuse of spirituality, don't say I'm detached from these things, Some of your family needs, somebody is ill, they have to take it to the doctor. Say, no, I'm detached.
No.
Okay. So don't make it an excuse. Give your best. Because at the end of the day, you will suffer. You could have done it, but you didn't. It's only because of you, not because of others. Maybe somebody else will come and call an ambulance. Not an issue. But
Darun example.
So what I'm saying, do your best so that you don't feel guilty later on for you.
Right. And
after that something happens, you accept.
All right.
Okay.
So lesson learned is no spirituality of convenience.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely correct, Shulman. Yes.
All right. So now I think, any other question? Or we'll go into our Kriya and meditation. So just sit straight.